And welcome to Barca News. It is December 22nd, 2025, and Barcelona have made a decision on whether to sign a center back during this winter transfer market. I'm going to tell you what that decision is. Also, Lamine Yamal has drawn the wrath of the media, and you won't believe why. And finally, we have to talk about Coutinho and the effect that he's had on this team. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and welcome to the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering new questions, and getting the discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the Goal Kids Kit Bag or Fanatics, where not only can you find Barcelona merchandise, you can find merchandise from any football team or any sports team around the world. For other sports, you can head to Fanatics, and then for other football-related teams, you can head to Goal Kids or Kit Bag. And if you're looking to place any sports bets, make sure to take Bet Us, where you get $200 free if you open an account with them, and then you can bet not only on Barcelona matches, but on any sporting event around the world, including boxing, UFC, bullshit boxing matches like Jake Paul versus AJ. I think boxing has lost all credibility. I mean, when you start doing these kind of retarded fucking matches between YouTubers and retired fighters, and it's stupid. Anyways, I don't want to get in trouble by speaking my mind, so let's dive right into the news. By the way, today I'm starting a little bit late because I had to work late. So I'm starting an hour late. I do apologize about that. But nonetheless, let's begin with the news. Today we're doing things differently. I don't have a first segment of the podcast with multiple bits of news. Instead, we're digging straight into the news because there's some pretty important topics we have to talk about. And started with the Negreira Case. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing me talk about the Negreira Case. But we have to. It's an ongoing matter. It's Real Madrid and Madridistas' favorite excuse to justify them being losers. But let's talk about the Negreira Case because, as you know, there has been a lot of testimony lately. Jan Laporta testified. Luis Enrique testified. Valverde testified. Previously, the former presidents of Barcelona, Sandro Rosell and Josep Maria Bartomeu, had testified. But today, Sandro Rosell testified again. Or I think this was an old testimony, but the tapes were leaked today. Anyways, it concerns the former president, Sandro Rosell's testimony from court in the Negreira Case because he gave 5 reasons on why the Negreira Case is what it is, which is total bullshit, where nothing happened besides Barcelona paying one of Negreira's companies consulting fee in exchange for scouting reports for referees. But nonetheless, of course, Madridistas being the big losers that they are, now I want to use it as an excuse. Now, let's dig into the testimony of Sandro Rosell, who again gave 5 reasons on why this whole case is absolute bullshit. Now, let's talk about Sandro Rosell's testimony where he gave 5 reasons on why the Negreira Case is absolute bullshit. Now, let me put on my glasses because I am an old man, but this number 1 reason that Sandro Rosell gave during his testimony is, first, it's absurd to think that you can buy results at 250 euros per person. It is ridiculous and an insult to arbitration professionals. Now, let's dive right in because this is something I've talked about a lot on this channel. I said the math ain't mathing. It does not make sense because, Madridistas and their loser followers, they always like to talk about Barcelona paid Negreira 7.2 million euros. And you're like, oh shit, 7.2 million euros. That sounds like a lot of money. And it is when you take it out of context. When you put it into context, it's not that much money. because Barcelona paid Negreira 7.2 million euros over the span of 18 years. This was not a yearly thing. This was not a monthly thing. 18 years, Barcelona paid Negreira's company, not Negreira, his company, because he had a consulting business with his son where they did scouting reports about refs. But 7.2 million over 18 years, if you do the math, that's 400,000 euros per year. Now, here, Sandro Rosell is going a step further. He's dividing those 400,000 per year over the amount of refs in first division, which is 20, and over the amounts of matches. So if you were to bribe referees in order to win a La Liga title, you would need to bribe 20 referees over the span of 38 matches, which it comes out to 250 euros per ref per match. Now, don't forget, refs make approximately, it used to be 250,000. I think it's closer now to 300,000 euros per year. Okay. You're telling me a ref that's making, let's do the low number, 250,000. You're telling me that a ref that's making 250,000 euros a year would risk that salary, plus the benefits, paid vacation, health insurance, paid sick leave, retirement account, pension, all that. You're telling me they're going to risk all of that for 250 euros? Are you out of your freaking mind? And not only that, they're risking also going to prison. So they're going to tell me they're risking prison, their salary, their benefits for 250 euros. The math ain't mathing, ladies and gentlemen. So when next time you hear some dumbass Madridista talking about 7.2 million euros, be like, yeah, bro, over 18 years. Does that make sense to you? Because it's going to take a lot more than that, a lot more than 400,000 a year or 250 euros to buy a league, okay? You have to give an incentive. If a referee is making 250,000 euros, for him to risk that salary and to risk the benefits and to risk prison time, you better double that. You better pay him 500,000. Okay, and that's just one ref. Remember, there's 20 refs. So if you want to bribe all of them and give them at least 500,000 each, you're talking about 10 million euros per year over 18 years. That's 180 million euros, not 7.2. So the math simply ain't mathing. And Sandro Rosell bringing that point up in court. The second point, or the second reason that Rosell gave on why the Negreira case is a total hoax and a bullshit case, is of course the historical influence that Real Madrid has had in football and in Spain. And he said in the CTA, which is the Technical Committee of Referees, that's how it's known by its Spanish initials, Comité Técnico de Árbitros, Negreira had zero weight. Historically, in 70 years, the strength has been the presidents. I'm talking about the presidents of the CTA. And everyone has declared themselves a fan of Real Madrid. Another point I've drilled time and time again in my videos, and is that, Madridistas like to say, Negreira was the vice president of the CTA. Big fucking deal. And I am the king of England. It doesn't mean shit. I'm not. Right? Because Negreira, yes, he was a vice president, but he was one of 4 vice presidents. His title was completely honorary. All right? You know what honorary is? Have you ever seen when those universities give out a PhD to celebrities? Like, we're giving an honorary PhD to, I don't know, Mel Gibson for Jewish studies. Get that joke? If you don't, Google it. It doesn't mean shit. Right? They didn't actually study there. They didn't actually do a thesis. They didn't actually publish a paper. It's just an honorary degree. It means nothing. And that's the same thing here. Negreira had an honorary role at the CTA. He had zero power. In fact, he didn't even receive a freaking salary for his position. You know who did have the power at the CTA? Is the presidents of the CTA. And guess what? The presidents of the CTA have always been Madridistas, who have always declared themselves as Madridistas. Remember Plaza? We talked about him before. Plaza was the president of the CTA for 23 years. And while he was the president, He was known for walking around the hallways and saying, as long as I'm the president of the CTA, Barcelona are never going to win anything. So for the entire history of the Spanish football, we've had presidents who actually have power, be Madridistas, and nobody talks about them. But then because Barcelona paid the company of an honorary vice president who had no power, a consulting fee, all of a sudden, it's bribery. Wrap your mind around that. Anyways, the third reason that Sandro Rosell believes that the Negreira case is what it is, which is absolute bullshit, is the following, which is that Barcelona won all those trophies during that era because they were the best team in the world. Plain and simple. And he said, we had a team with Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Piqué, Jordi Alba, all players made in La Masia. Actually, Jordi Alba wasn't. Come on, Rosell, get your shit together. This really hurts. We had a great team. That's why we won. I think that point is self-explanatory. Any moron, any idiot that believes that Barcelona won all those trophies, including the sextuple and 2 trebles, because of referees' help, well, is what I just said, a fucking idiot, and needs to be watching a different sport. Because we all saw those matches. We all saw how better Barcelona was than every single team around the world. And that's why they won what they won. Not with the help of referees, but because they were the best. The absolute best. Now, Rosell gave the fourth reason, which is on why that Negreira case is bullshit, which is, of course, Barcelona's dominance in Europe. Because not only did Barcelona dominate La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the Spanish Super Cup, but they also dominated the Champions League, the UEFA Super Cup, and even the Club World Cup. But this is what Sandro Rosell said. We won in Spain due to the influence of our players. Where is Mr. Negreira here? We laugh at Pep Guardiola and his team. It's offensive. We also won everything in Europe. The Negreira also rule Europe. Another very important question. The next time some dumbass Madridista is like, oh, Negreira. But so was Negreira also the vice president of UEFA? Because Barcelona won the Champions League and the UEFA Super Cup. Was Negreira the president of FIFA? Because Barcelona won the Club World Cup, which is organized by FIFA. How about the World Cup, the 2010 World Cup that Spain won? It was mostly Barcelona players. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Piqué, Puyol. I think there were 2 Madrid. I think out of the starters, it was 9 Barcelona players and 2 Real Madrid players, something like that. I think Negreira also worked for FIFA, and he also, bribed the referees at the World Cup. That's an important question. Don't you think so? And finally, the fifth reason on why Rosell believes that this case is absolute bullshit, which it is of course, the matches themselves, where he said, pretty much to summarize it, it's like, if you don't believe me, just go pull up the tapes. And this is what Rosell had to say. My sentences of recent years have been filed for lack of evidence. Now it will not happen. That's a little bit separate. We can watch all the games and have referees, experts come to analyze them. Again, I think this is the best argument against, if they don't want to buy the math thing, if they don't want to buy how Barcelona had the best players in the world, Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, they don't want to buy the whole, well, we also dominated Europe and the world, so how did you explain it? Pretty simple. Pull any tape from any match of that era, and you tell me if Barcelona bribed refs. I think the answer is pretty simple. But of course, Madridistas and their idiotic fans, they don't care about reason. They don't care about truth. They don't care about facts. They don't care about data. They care about one thing and one thing only, is that their team got smacked left and right by Barcelona, and they can't handle that. And as such, they have to use a Negreira case as an excuse because they're all a bunch of little bitches who cannot handle defeat. All right, let's do the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Christensen and Barcelona's decision on whether to sign a center back during the winter transfer market. All right, let's see. Java the Hat says the perfect defender for Barca would be Josko Guardiol. He fits the style. He's is left-footed, young, and can play left back. His contract is until 2028. We should keep Gerard Maldini as CB and make a bid in 2027. Don't get me wrong, Guardiola will be an amazing addition to Barcelona. In fact, he is on the list of dream signings alongside Bastoni in the defense and, of course, Julian Alvarez in the attack. But like Julian Alvarez, like Bastoni, we simply cannot afford Guardiola. I think Man City paid $90 million for him. So Barcelona, if City agree, which they're not going to, but if City agree to sell Guardiola, they're gonna want minimum at least to break even, and to break even means 90 million. And if they want to make profit, now you're talking about 100, 110, 120, money that Barcelona simply cannot afford. So would Guardiola be a great addition? Sure. Can it happen? No. Now, can Barcelona make a bid in 2027? I mean, then you're assuming that Man City are not going to try to renew it, which is a big, big, big assumption. David says, if Araujo is suffering from a mental problem, why is he training with a physical training and not a sports psychologist in Uruguay? Who says he's not? You know, the reports are saying that he, physically speaking, he's training with a physical trainer, and that physical trainer is in contacting the club on a daily basis to come up with a specific exercise plan so Araujo can stay sharp. That does not mean that he's not talking to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. We need to stop pretending that the world is, is black or white. That, if he's training physically, that means he's not training mentally. And if he's doing it mentally, that means he's not doing it. He can be doing both, right? They're not mutually exclusive, my friend. Costa says, Vamos, 25-26 will be a better season. We already finished the midseason with more points than last year. Here's the thing about points. I don't give a shit about them, okay? Points don't mean anything. I mean, they do, kind of. But that is not reflective of performance, because you can win La Liga with as little as 50 points. Well, not really, but you can win it with very little points, or you can score 100+ points and still lose it. Who gives a shit, right? The important thing is to win it, okay? It's kind of like when people used to be like, Xabi made the same amount of points of Flex, so blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, and you telling me because Xavi had the same amount of points as Flick that all of a sudden you can compare both teams? Because if you think that, well, I'll tell you the same thing I'll tell Madridistas who want to pretend that Pep Guardiola won a sextuple because of referees. And that is, you need to watch a new sport, my friend, because football ain't your thing, okay? I don't care how many points Xavi scored. If you want to seriously tell me that Xavi's team played the same as Flick's team because, they scored the same amount of points, then maybe ping pong is your thing. It's easier to keep track. You just got to watch the ball go back and forth. There's not a lot of analysis done. Maybe golf. I don't know. Well, maybe sports is not your thing. I don't know. Maybe you should play domino. Dorian says, it sucks that we won't be watching flick ball for 2 weeks, but at least it feels so good to be on top of La Liga by 4 points ahead while we were once 5 points down. Amen, my friend. Amen, my friend. I am very happy that we're at the top of La Liga. Even though I got to say this, 4 points is not a lot. The season is very long. I mean, look, Madrid won on Saturday, right? And they cut it to 1 point. So had we lost against Villarreal, which could have happened, they're an incredible team this season, they would have been 1 point away, right? So 4 points is not a lot. I'm happy we're first. I'm happy we're 4 points clear, but that's not a lot. The season is still long. And yes, it does suck. No more Barcelona. And of course, my question to you guys, let me know in the chat section. What do you guys do when Barcelona's not playing? Do you watch other sports? Do you crawl in a fetal position and cry? That's what I do. I just get in the shower, turn the shower on, and just cry. Or, I don't know. Do you watch TV shows or something else? Let me know. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts because I need something to do. Because I know whenever Barcelona's not playing, I lose my freaking mind. I'm like, what am I going to do now? I'm just like sitting there watching my ceiling, my walls. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have more news as always. And this news concerns Andreas Christensen and Barcelona's decision on whether to sign a center back during the winter transfer market. Now, let's start with Andreas Christensen because you probably know by now Barcelona have confirmed that the Danish center back has suffered yet another injury. Surprise, surprise. At this point, I think there are 3 things certain in life is death, taxes, and then Christensen and Daniel Olmo being injured. Those are the 3 constants of this planet. But Andreas Christensen has suffered a partial torn ACL. and it means he will be out for 4 months. Now, he's not, it doesn't look like he's going to undergo surgery. Looks like he's going to undergo conservative treatment because, again, it's just a partial tear. It's not a full tear. If it was a full tear, he most likely would have to undergo surgery to repair it. And if that was the case, he will be out for a lot longer. We saw Bernal was out for a year. Gabi was out for a year. So he could have been out for a year, but instead he's going to be out for 4 months. And of course, the question now is, should Barcelona sign someone else? Because right now, a position that used to be stacked, overbooked, all of a sudden, it's very thin. Very, very thin. Why? Because right now we only have 2 center backs. As crazy as that might sound. We have Pau Cubarsí and we have Gerard Maldini, who's not even a center back. He's a left back that they've converted into a center back. Now, we do have Ronald Araujo, but that guy, we don't know when he's going to come back. And when he does come back, we don't know what state he's going to be in and whether he's going to be able to compete. So he doesn't count. We had Christensen. Now he's out for 4 months. And that's it. I mean, okay, we have Koundé, who used to be a center back, but now he's starting in a right back. And if he's moved to the center back, who's going to play in his place? We don't have any right backs to replace him. We have Eric Garcia, who naturally is a center back, but guess what? Now he's starting as a defensive midfielder. So we have a position where it was super stacked. And now all of a sudden, we only have two center backs. And if Gerard Maldini or Pau Cubarsí, God forbid, they get sick, they get injured, and they're tired, they catch a cold, it's like, shit, what do? Now, you could move Koundé and then put Casado in his place, but let's be honest. Koundé is obviously a better right back. Maybe we bring back Eddie Garcia to the center back position and we put Frank in his place. Not going to work. That's a safer bet than Casado as a right back. But still, not ideal because we've seen that Eric has been performing better than Frankie in a defensive midfield. So we're definitely in problem. So the question was, will Barcelona sign a center back this winter transfer market to replace the injured Christensen and Araujo, who we don't know who's going to come back? Well, Barcelona met. They've discussed it. And the answer to that question is no. Not because we don't need it, not because we don't want to, but it's because we can't. Unfortunately, given Barcelona's financial situation, with the financial fair play, where we're still not under the 1-to-1 rule, it's just not possible to sign anyone in the winter transfer market. Not to mention, there are no options, right? Or maybe there are, but they're not going to be good enough. As I've always said, signing the winter transfer market, to me, is not something I like because there's not a lot of options. There are, most players' contract expires in the summer. So that's when players become free agents. That's also when players enter their final year. So that's when they start making moves. In a winter transfer market, usually there aren't many options. The options are very, very slim. And it's better, of course, to wait for the summer. Plus, winter, even when the option is not that great, clubs are not likely to let go of players in the winter because they don't have time to sign a replacement. So even if it's not like, let's say, a definitive starter for the team they're in, they still look to wait for the summer because, well, they rather have a sub. And then in the summer, they can sell them and then bring another sub in. So winter, the pickings are slim. There's no financial fair play. So Barcelona have decided to not sign a center back come this winter transfer market. Now, here's the other crazy news. Now, you might have seen the thumbnail, and I wrote at the bottom, Laporta has lost his mind. And there's a reason why I included that in the thumbnail. I know it's not a clickbait, but it's truly why I believe that Laporta has lost his mind. And why? Because reports are stating that Laporta, and they're calling it this, it's how retarded. They're saying in a classy move, I don't know what classy is about this, Laporta wants to offer Christensen a 1-year contract renewal because he sees, that Christensen's contract is up in the summer. He came as a free agent. And now that he's injured, kind of like as a show of support, John Laporta wants to offer him a 1-year contract extension. And my question is, have we lost our fucking minds? Are you fucking kidding me? A classy move? What the fuck does that even mean? Oh, hey, I'm renting an apartment. My lease is almost up. And the apartment is a total shithole. It's full of cockroaches. There's never hot water. When it rains, the roof leaks. The neighbors are nuts. They're always screaming. They're playing loud music until 3, 4 a.m. But hey, in a classy move, I'm going to renew my lease. That makes fucking sense. We got a player who, don't get me wrong, a great defender whenever he's healthy, and that's a big one ever. But Christensen has spent half of his time at Barcelona injured, and that's not hyperbole. That is literal. Look at the numbers. Christensen has spent as much time injured as he has spent healthy. And you're telling me that a classy move is to renew him? Have we lost our fucking mind? Seriously. Because that makes sense. Hey, we have a defender who's not available half of the time because he's injured. Here's a great idea. Let's renew him. We don't have money. We don't have financial fair play, but that's okay. Let's renew him because it's classy. Now, I really hope Deco fights this. I really hope Flick fights this, because if we do renew him for another season, then I have no more words to defend Laporta, because this would be incredibly stupid. But anyways, that's just a one man's opinion. Let's do the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Lamine Yamal, because yes, we have lost our minds, or at least the Madrid press has. All right, let's see. What is everyone saying? Where are we? Where do we leave off? Here. Java the Hutt says, what do you think about Jake Paul and AJ? For me, it was a joke, self-promoter using the boxing platform just to make money. I mean, that's what it was. It was a money grab. I saw the fight only because it was on Netflix. If it was on, pay-per-view, they would know in hell I would pay for that. But I watched it on Netflix. I mean, it's a money grab. I mean, let's be honest. Jake Paul is not a fighter. He's never fought any fighters. He's only fought retired fighters. And then he fights. And then AJ, I think he knew that he would be degrading himself. But he figured, it's a quick money grab. I'm sure he made 10, 15 million, to go in the ring with some clown who all he did was run around. I don't know if you watched it, but he ran around the entire time. Eventually gassed out. Like, bro, if your strategy is to just run around and burn the clock, you better have your stamina in check, okay? You better fucking train your stamina. You better be doing crazy cardio day and night in your fighting camp. But the motherfucker shows up with a plan to just run around the entire arena. It doesn't even show up with great cardio. So he gasses out. Finally, when he does, he takes one hit to the face that just takes him down and breaks his jaw. And it's like, bro, come on. And I'm pretty sure that hit didn't make him dizzy, by the way, because he didn't look like he was dizzy. Like, I've been fighting for 5 years now. He didn't look like he got caught and was dizzy. It looked like he got caught and he was down and thought to himself, fuck, that hurt. I don't want more punishing. So he just never got up. So it's like, that whole thing was a fucking joke. It's a circus. And I'm kind of disappointed that AJ kind of accepted to be part of that circus. But at the same time, I get it. It was an easy payday. I mean, to get in the ring, to slap around some idiot and then make a few millions, anyone would sign up for that. But it's a fucking joke. And I mean, at this point, boxing is dying because of that shit like that. That fight should have never been sanctioned, but boxing has become all about the money. So it's just a fucking joke. And that's why the UFC is kicking their ass, because who wants to watch like some clown running around the ring for like however rounds that lasted. It's a fucking joke. And it's an insult, honestly. It's an insult to real fighters who train day and night, who go hungry for years because, fighting, there's not a lot of money in fighting. And, people who sacrifice everything, who give everything to become fighters, risking their lives because you can die in a fucking ring or in the cage. So some fucking clown can run around a ring? Like, bro, it's just an insult, honestly. Sanjok says, how Alemany was able to sign 3 quality players in the winter during our worst financial times needs to be studied. So a couple of things. First, kudos to Alemany because he has always been, the reason why Barcelona brought him on, or Laporta brought him on his board, is because Alemany is someone that knows how to navigate the financial fair play world. He really does. And being someone that's an expert in the financial fair play world, the rules, the loopholes, the exceptions, etc., he was able to do what he did as a sporting director. But also, not to take props away from Alemany because he knows what he's doing. But also, Barcelona had sold assets and generated money through that, and that's how Barcelona were also able to sign, right? But that, of course, is the signing part. Then there came the registration part, right? So the signing part, or I should say the sale of assets part, is what allowed us to sign, which is not a problem. The problem was how to register, and that's when Alemany's genius came on and registered. Because not right now we have cash. We can go sign big names. But the question is, can you register them, right? And the answer is no. So being able to sell those assets is what allowed us to sign. And then Alemany's genius is what allowed us to register, right? For people who like to say, Laporta never gave Xabi what he needed. Are you fucking kidding me? We made over $300 million euros in signings. What the fuck you talking about? I think Laporta signed like 21 or 24 players. He didn't get what's that guy, the one from Real Sociedad? Subimendi. Laporta didn't sign Subimendi. That's why Xabi failed. I swear, sometimes Barcelona fans sound just as stupid as Madrid fans when they want to come up with the whole Negreira thing. But thank you for your donation, my friend. Let's see. Serioga says, what's up, man? How real is the center staying on loan with buy option? Christian is out for 4 months. Salary 7% usage we can use for new player. Also, Araujo on loan. Can we get new players? No. The answer to that question is no. As far as Ter Stegen going on loan, that's most likely what it's going to be because, he was out for 5 months. And before that, he was out even longer. So I'm sure teams are going to want to take him on loan, see how he does for the rest of the season. And then if they're convinced, if they see that, oh, yeah, he's recovered and no problem, he can still be world class, then they'll pay money. Raul says, Mo, it's Barca fan base. Some of them are insecure. Raphinha stands and Pedri fanatics, jealous of Lamine's unbridled fame and potential. Others are Messi cultists. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I know you always say that, but I haven't seen the hate towards Lamine Yamal from Barca fans. If anything, it's always been Madrid fans because, they're mad, right? They had Messi to deal with for like 15 years, and now Messi leaves, and it's like, voila, here comes Lamine Yamal. Pendaso says, hey, Mo, any update on Barca movie in the market? We have to fix our defense. CB's our number one target. Bisca Barca. No moves in the winter. We're going to have to wait until the summer. Nuts 3 our name says Jordi Alba actually is from La Masia. No, Jordi Alba came up from Cornellà. I think it's Cornellà. Let me see. Jordi Alba. Let's see. Yeah, so he was at Cornellà. Then moved. So he started at the Masia, but then he moved around and then came back. So he started at Barca Youth, and then he moved to Cornellà. Then he moved to Valencia B. Then he moved to Gymnastic. Then from Gymnastic, went back to Valencia first team. And then from Valencia, he came to Barca. So not completely a Barca Academy product. Like he bounced around academies and then eventually made his way back to Barca. So I wouldn't consider that what's called because he only spent 2 years in Barca Academy. From 2003 to 2005, he was in the Barca Academy. Then he was at Cornellà for a year. Then he was in Valencia for 2 years. Then he was at Gymnastic for a year. Then he went back to Valencia for 3 years. And then he came to Barca. So I wouldn't consider that a Barca Academy product, since he bounced around academies and then eventually came back to Barca. And also 2 years, at La Masia. Let's see. Lifestyle says, Mo, what are the chances of Barca bringing back Hector Fort mid-season since they aren't economically fit at the moment? I think you would have to pay a penalty, because the contract is you go to a loan for a season. If you're going to recall him, you're going to have to pay something, right, to break the contract. But anyways, let's get back to the news and let's talk about Lamine Yamal, because, ladies and gentlemen, he is once again catching the wrath of the Madrid media, and it has to do with the celebration that you saw yesterday. Now, yesterday, Lamine Yamal, when he scored Barcelona's second goal against Villarreal to make it 0-2 at the Ceramica, Lamine Yamal was seen celebrating like this, right? He put his head down and his fingers to the mouth, kind of like whistling. And a lot of people interpreted that as that he was talking to the fans. Like, oh, you've been whistling, because, he was getting whistled at the Ceramica. It's like, oh, you've been whistling at me all match. So here you go. Up yours. I just scored a goal. Now, this has been dissected and talked about for hours and hours and hours, like it was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, on every Madrid media outlet, including, of course, the biggest circus of them all, El Chiringuito, which is the propaganda machine of Real Madrid. In fact, for those of you who don't know, it was Florentino Perez who started that program, El Chiringuito, right? It's the most watched football program in Spain. It's kind of like the leading program of football in Spain. And it was, created by and funded by Florentino Perez, because he needed a propaganda machine, a mouthpiece for him, so it can divulge whatever bullshit he wants people to believe. So El Chiringuito yesterday held a whole special about Lamine Yamal and how terrible he is for this celebration. And in fact, they tried to justify Vinicius Jr.'s behavior by saying that Lamine Yamal, what he's doing, is similar or worse, right? Well, it turns out that Lamine Yamal, or at least this is what a lot of social media is saying, that the celebration had nothing to do with the fans whistling him, and that it was from a anime cartoon, which is that character that you see on your left. The anime is called Inazuma 11, and the character is called Jude Sharp. And Jude Sharp is that guy that you see on your screen, that cartoon on the right. And he has this special power where he whistles, he goes like this. And when he does, he summons penguins. I don't fucking know. Like, literally, the penguins start to come out of the ground, and then they fly, and then they become like missiles, and then they turn into a ball, and then he scores a goal. Fucking retarded. Anyways, like some anime, but I also think there's some anime, like other anime out there that's like pretty. It's like, what did I just fucking see? But anyways, this was one of them, because I actually watched the scene. I went and YouTubed it, and I put, Jude Sharp summoning penguins in Inazuma 11, and I said, he literally goes, fucking penguins start to come out of the pitch, and it's like, what's going on? Anyways, look it up. So apparently, at least this is what social media is saying, that Lamine Yamal celebration had nothing to do with the fans whistling him. It's just kind of like he's doing the Jude Sharp celebration, or the Jude Sharp summoning penguins. Now, I don't know which one I don't know if he truly was doing the Jude Sharp thing, or whether he truly was saying to the fans, hey, you whistled at me, so here you go, I scored a goal against your team. I don't know, because I'm not Lamine Yamal, and until Lamine Yamal comes out and says, this is what I meant, none of us can say for sure. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that Lamine Yamal was truly referring to the fans, that the fans had been whistling him all match, and he scored a goal, and he's like, here you go. You've been whistling, well, I scored a goal. Somehow, some way, the circus of Chiringuito and these moronic Madrid media want us to believe that that's the same as what Vinicius Jr. does. And that the fact that nobody is criticizing Lamine Yamal, even though literally every media outlet in Spain are criticizing Lamine Yamal, that somehow that there's a double standard. And that double standard is that whatever Vinicius does, people criticize him, but whatever Lamine Yamal does, nobody does because, Vinicius is from Real Madrid, and that's why he gets criticized. Okay, first of all, there's nobody criticizing Vinicius Jr. besides maybe a few Barcelona media outlets. And second of all, everybody and their mother criticizes whatever Lamine Yamal does, even things that he doesn't do. Whenever his father does something, Lamine Yamal gets criticized. So this whole story about the double standard and Vinicius being a victim of whatever he does, people criticize him, and whatever Lamine Yamal does, they don't. That's absolute bullshit. It's the opposite. But setting that aside, to compare this celebration to what Vinicius does is next level idiotic. Because Vinicius Jr., and this is not opinion, this is fact, you can look it up, you can find this, you can find all the videos of Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr. has actually walked up to refs and calls them sons of bitches to their faces. Vinicius has called them, said that they're crazy whenever they made a call against them. Vinicius has called them that they're high, telling them, oh, you're high for making that call. Vinicius has punched a player in his face, got a red card, then got that red card revoked because, it was justified because the player supposedly said something racist to him. Vinicius has gone up to the benches of opposing teams to talk shit to them. Vinicius has talked shit to other players on the field. Vinicius has talked shit to coaches of opposing teams. Vinicius has gone up time and time again to the fans at stadium and tell them that they're going to be relegated to second division and talk shit to them. Vinicius told a player once, don't talk to me. I make a lot more money than you. You're just, a nobody. Okay. This is just a very short list of all the disgusting shit that Vinicius Jr. has done. And somehow Madrid media want us to believe that all that disgusting behavior from Vinicius Jr. is the same thing as Lamine doing the whistle celebration. Make it make sense. What happened is that Real Madrid have a clown on their hands, a clown that nobody can control because even his own teammates have told him time and time again, dude, stop. Like there's a video of this, of him talking shit and his own teammates going like, dude, stop. Ancelotti has had to go on and be like, pull him like, bro, stop. You're fucking embarrassing us. So they have a clown on their hand that nobody can control that continues to embarrass them. And what is their solution? Instead of saying, hey, we need to put a stop to this, no. Let's make shit up. Let's somehow compare all that behavior that Vinicius does to Lamine Yamal doing a whistling celebration, which, again, could have easily been just an anime celebration. But this is where we at. We're in times where Lamine can't even fart because all of a sudden it's the end of the world. But the silver lining of all this is that the fact that they're doing this is because they're scared. They're scared of what Lamine is capable of. They're scared of what Lamine is doing, and they're scared of what Lamine will do as the years go by. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't spend every waking moment criticizing Lamine. So let them talk. As long as Lamine does his talking on the field, let these idiots continue to criticize him because I'm sure it's only going to be more and more fuel for what is and will be the best player in the world. And by the way, this whole excuse that, people just talk about Vinicius because he's a Madridista. Nobody's talking about Mbappe. You know why? Because Mbappe only focuses on playing, scoring penalties. But you don't see anyone criticizing Mbappe's behavior. Why is that? Maybe because he just focuses on playing and not making a fool out of himself and acting like a fucking clown like Vinicius does every single match? Something to consider. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Gautier and the effect he's had on the team ever since his return. Barca boy said EPL doesn't go anywhere, so I just watch a few games in Boxing Days. Smart man, smart man. Maybe I'll just do that on Christmas. And Arshad says, hey, Mo, what is the current financial situation of Barca after Camp Nou reopening? Can they ever achieve the 1-1? According to Laporta, once the VIP seat sale counts, we'll achieve the 1-1. I don't know. He told us the Nike deal was going to do that, and then he told us a bunch of other shit, and so far it hasn't happened. So at this point, it's see it to believe it. King City says, Mo, we can bring back Mika Marmol. No, can't. Which reminds me, by the way, remember when Barcelona sold Mika Marmol? Barcelona fans acted like Barcelona had just sold Maldini in his prime, Puyol in his prime. And I said, what the fuck are you guys complaining about? This guy had never even broken into the first team. He was playing in third division. And y'all acting like, I can't remember how many videos I saw. Barcelona making a huge mistake. People are crying in the streets. Like, oh my God, Barcelona just sold fucking Messi at 25 after he scored 91 goals in a calendar year. Where is Mika Marmol? You guys know? Have you guys heard anything? Do you know where he's playing, what he's done? No, right? Maybe because he wasn't as good as you guys made him out to be. Edward says, I have a different opinion on Araujo. He got switched out to take on Vinny Jr. He owned Vinny. Vinny was left running into blind alley. Cul-de-sacs running and not getting across in is not great. Wait, is there more to this point? Costa says, he's pretty sure the last hit was the third knockdown, so the fight was over either way. Yeah, that whole thing was just a joke. Leo Ford says, Mo, I think Barca needs you to represent them in the Negreira case to get them out of this bullshit. Hit me up, Barcelona. I'll quit my job. I'll hop on the first plane and go to Barca. Mostly because I want to live in Barcelona and be able to watch matches. You don't even have to pay me a salary, Barcelona, okay? You can just pay me with season tickets. I'll represent you. Don't worry. I got you. Enrico Gonzalez says, we have to admire Jake Paul. Sells these fights to people that hate him and want to see him get battered so bad and they pay pay-per-view. I'm sure Compa made more than 50% of that fight. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like I'm not criticizing his entrepreneurship because, yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right? He makes himself into the villain. He might be even the nicest guy, personally speaking, right? But he probably learned that being the villain makes you a lot more money, right? A lot of people watch Mayweather fights not because Mayweather was such a great boxer. A lot of people watch Mayweather fights because they hated him, right? Because he always ran his mouth and, you know, he made it turn himself into the villain. And he probably learned that he realized that, hey, being the villain makes a lot more money because there are people who like villains and those people are going to pay to see your fights. And there are people who hate villains and those people are still going to pay for your fights because they want to see you get knocked out, right? Except with Mayweather, he is the greatest defensive boxer in the history, so he can never get knocked out. Kind of like Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor did the same thing with the UFC. He figured, hey, being the villain makes you a lot more money than being the nice guy. So, yeah, I'm sure that he figured that out a long time ago, that being the villain makes you money, and he became the villain, and he realizes, hey, people are going to pay money because they want to see me get my ass whooped, and as a result, is making the money. So I'm not criticizing that. Kudos to him. And again, he might be the nicest guy ever. He's just pretending to be an asshole. That's not the problem. I'm talking about the fight itself. You know, as a fan of martial arts, as a fan of combat sports, to see that shit, that's what enrages me. Whatever money he made, whatever. This is not an attack on him, you know. Again, I don't know him. He might be the nicest guy ever. This is not an attack on his entrepreneurship. I mean, this guy makes in an hour what I'm probably making a year. This is just as an objective opinion of someone who enjoys combat sports, someone who's been punched a lot in his face over the last 5-6 years, someone who's trained day and night to become good at what I do. Not professionally, of course. I'm a lawyer. I'm not going to get into a cage at fucking 35 years old. But, you know, as a fan of the sport, to see that kind of joke, I mean, you're like, all right, like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just, you know, imagine if all of a sudden they created a Champions League where, I don't know, high school teams are allowed to compete. And now you're watching a match between Barcelona and a high school team. And you're like, well, what are we doing here? Like, how does this help the sport? It doesn't. Right? I mean, sure, it generates money, but over time, it just kills the sport because Nobody wants to see that shit, right? What makes boxing exciting or any sport is you want to see the two best boxers or the two best football teams or the two best basketball teams or whatever go at it head to head. And, this is why I always say, right, whenever news comes out, oh, this player's injured for this team. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. Sure, it's a big gift for us, but I would rather see our starting 11 all healthy versus their starting 11 being all healthy, because at the end of the day, sports are entertainment. And I want to see the two best going head to head. I want to see Messi versus Ronaldo. I don't want to see fucking Messi versus, I don't know, some MLS guy, right? And it's like, that's what I mean. Again, this is not to hate on Jake Paul. This is just, it just doesn't do the sport any favor to have someone like AJ, who's a heavyweight champion or former champion, going against an amateur, because that's what Jake Paul is, an amateur. Sure, I've been training for 5 years, but if I got it, I would not get in the ring with a professional, because A, I would get my ass whooped, and B, what entertainment value does that have? Like, I don't know. Anyways, let's do the last bit of news. So it's not really news, it's more commentary on Raphinha, on Coutinho. And then we'll get back to the comment section. But let's talk about Coutinho, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is something we need to talk about. Because Barcelona, before Coutinho, and when I mean before, I mean the 2 months that he was injured, and Barca after Coutinho during this season, completely two different teams. And I think it's evident at this point. And if not, right now, Barcelona are not playing for 2 weeks because of Christmas and New Year's. Take this time off and just go watch the matches while Raphinha was injured, and now while Raphinha is back. And that, I think, deserves a conversation. You know how we talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID, how the world was before the pandemic and how the world was after? Well, I think during this season, we have a pre and a post-Raphinha Barca world. Because while Raphinha was injured, one thing, there was a common theme, something I talked about a lot during my post-match live analysis. And that is that we saw the team lacking in pressing. They weren't pressing as much. They were bad in transitions, where the transitions weren't as fast enough. And overall, the collective of the team, the collective effort of the team without the ball was lacking, right? Players they weren't really playing intensity. They were jog. You didn't see that hunger. You didn't see that aggressiveness that characterized the team last season. We saw a drop in sharpness in the front line press. Whenever the opposing team would get the ball, nobody would bother to go after the ball. And if someone did, the rest of the team wasn't. And if they did, it would be too late because they would respond late. So by then the pass was made, and it was the efforts of that person who did run, it would be null. The attacking movement looked a lot slower. That lethargic passing, lethargic movement. And again, we saw overall the aggression of the team being reduced. And I don't mean aggression in let's punch each other out, even though I think that would be a cool thing to add to football, like hockey. I don't know. What do you guys think? But we saw all these things really drop while Raphinha was injured. And it wasn't too clear at the time whether this was just that the players dropped their level because some other reasons, they're tired, they're exhausted, or maybe whatever. But all of a sudden, Raphinha comes back and everything changes. So now you start thinking, okay, maybe there is something here. Maybe it wasn't just coincidence that the players had just dropped their level, because as soon as Raphinha comes, their level goes back up. All of a sudden, defensively, we see the team became more intense. Tactically, all of a sudden, the team became more disciplined. And emotionally, all of a sudden, the team are fighting. And that, again, coincides with Raphinha coming back to the field. And I think it has to do with something that is just the mentality of Coutinho. Because the team improving is not just Raphinha improving, it's everyone else, right? So it's not just, oh, Raphinha came back from injury and all of a sudden he's grabbing the ball in the middle of the field and dribbling past 11 players and scoring by himself, and now he's winning us the game single-handedly. No, now we're seeing everybody else is playing better. And I think it has to do with his mentality. I think Raphinha has such aggressive winning mentality where he just wants to win at all costs, wants to leave it all on the field, that becomes contagious, right? Where players see Raphinha, he's running his ass off, and all of a sudden probably think to themselves, man, this guy's making me look bad. I need to get my shit together. Or it could also be like, damn, Raphinha's running his ass off. I need to put in my part because I'm letting him down. Because if he's working hard and I'm not, I'm the weak link. And I think that's really the reason behind it because, again, it's not that just Raphinha is playing well. Everyone else now is playing well. And I think it has to do with that. And in fact, that's being reflected in the numbers, right? This is not just a one man's opinion because since Raphinha has come back from injury, Barcelona have won 8 times and only lost 1 match. And that match was Chelsea, where Raphinha was a sub and only came on for like 20, 30 minutes. In fact, in the matches where Raphinha has started, Barcelona have won 5 out of 5 matches, during which he has scored 4 goals and provided an assist. That's a 1-goal contribution per match. 5 matches, 5 victories, 5-goal contributions. If that's not evidence enough that this Barcelona is now doing better because Raphinha is back, then I don't know what is. Which, of course, brings me now to some statements that Wayne Rooney said back in September when he was discussing the Ballon d'Or, and it was the following. Is this a joke? Seriously? How can Raphinha be 5th while Vitinha is 3rd? Raphinha led his team in crucial moments, played with passion and heart, and gave us magical nights. If that's not worthy of the Ballon d'Or, then what is? In my opinion, he should be number 1. Now, I don't know about number 1. Some can argue, maybe Lamine, because, Lamine he's doing it at 18 years old. Some could say Dembele. He was key in PSG winning the Ballon d'Or. But he definitely didn't deserve 5th. At least number 1, if not number 2. But 5th, I thought that was absolutely criminal. Not being included in the FIFA Best 11, I think that's absolutely incredible. Because let's not forget, Raphinha scored 36 goals, provided 24 assists. That's 60-goal contribution last season. And it's not just about numbers. Football is a lot more than numbers. Raphinha was key in so many matches. Barcelona won so many matches thanks to Raphinha, and the fact that he wasn't even considered for FIFA's Best 11 is an absolute joke. And now we're seeing it again because this Barca, since Raphinha's return, is not the same. You guys tell me, what do you think about Coutinho down below in the chat section or comment section. It's Coutinho as in GOAT plus Raphinha. I know a lot of you know this, but every now and then I still get the comment, Coutinho? Who's Coutinho? Ha, 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 ha. It's like, oh, God. So now I have to explain it. It's not Coutinho, it's Coutinho. You know, Raphinha plus GOAT, Coutinho. God, why do I have to explain everything? Anyways, that is all the news. That is all the news. Let's do the comment section. By the way, in that same interview where Wayne Rooney said those statements, which were really nice, because I agree with him, it really was a joke that Raphinha ended up 5th. He also said that Raphinha needed to go to another team because Barca fans were picking Lamine over him, and if they don't pick him, they're disrespecting him. It's like, all right, Rooney, you were doing good, bro. Now you're just fucking up. Just shut the fuck up. Just walk away while you're still, winning. Just because some people might prefer Lamine over Raphinha or Raphinha over Lamine, you're not disrespecting either. It's just like they're both great. You have preferences, right? At one time, we had Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta. And some people preferred Messi. Some people said Iniesta was behind it all. Some people said Xavi. Does that mean, oh, if you pick Messi, you're saying fuck you to Xavi and Iniesta and they both need to leave? It's like, all right, Wayne Rooney, chill the fuck out. You were doing good and then you continued. And you made it all worse. Anyways. Let's see. Chamo Dabara says, hey Mo, did you see the news about Bastoni liking comment about coming to Barca? He even liked the post of Fabrizio Romano, post of Lamine and Raphinha. I saw some people talking about it. I don't really pay attention to that. I mean, that's as worthy news as me saying, breaking news, today I woke up with a zit on my back. And you're going to look at me like, bro, why do I give a shit you have a zit on your back? Well, it's kind of like the same thing. Why do I give a shit if Bastoni hits a like or doesn't hit the like? I mean, a like doesn't mean shit, okay? And even if it does, let's say Bastoni is hitting like on all these comments because he's just dying to come to Barcelona. How are we going to pay for him, you know? I can go right now on Ferrari's Instagram page and like every fucking picture. I'm like, Mo is liking pictures of Ferrari. That means he's going to buy a Ferrari. It's like, no, I might like it. I might think it's a beautiful car. Does that mean I can buy one? No, I can't buy one. I can't afford one. So, no, don't pay attention to the news like that. I think in a 24-hour news cycle, unfortunately, a lot of these media outlets, they just, they need to fill up their pages. And, if it's 24-hour cycle, there's so much you could talk about in 24 hours. So it gets to a point where they just like writing about anything. Oh, did you see Bastoni was walking and he blinked twice? That means he wants to go to Barca. It's like, all right, let's calm the fuck down. P4K Chema says, what are Barca options for winter center back? None, because Barcelona will not be signing anyone. Katana says, Lamine Yamal has created his YouTube channel. You know what? I saw that. I turned on my YouTube today, and one of the recommendations was Lamine Yamal's house, or Lamine Yamal shows his house or something like that. And then I'm like, and then I look at the channel, and the channel is also called Lamine Yamal. And I was like, wait a minute. Because first I thought it was a video, made by some, I don't know, sports or Marca or whatever, like one of those media outlets that went to Lamine Yamal's house and made a video about it. But then I see the user, and it says Lamine Yamal. I was like, so I click on a channel, and yeah, it's like Lamine Yamal, and then the caption says, yes, it's me. And then there's only one video, and the video is Lamine Yamal's house. I was like, oh, shit, this guy made a YouTube channel. That makes sense, I guess, because he's, Penaldo did it, and he immediately got, like, can't remember how many millions of viewers in, like, 24 hours or something like that. So it makes sense, but I just hope it's not a distraction, right? He can do whatever the fuck he wants, as long as it's not a distraction on the field. McBarca says, hi, Mo, I'm so heartbroken. My country, Zimbabwe, just lost to Egypt. Salah got pocketed, but the glazing getting my blood blowing. Wait, I thought you were Irish. Or are you Irish and your parents are from Zimbabwe, or your background is from Zimbabwe, but you're Irish? I'm confused. But either way, I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope you feel better. Just have a beer this weekend and forget all about it. Zach Urban says, I've never seen a shift in players' career like Goldilla. What a transformation. Went from zero to here in an environment that was pushing him away. Inspirational. I agree. I could not agree more. Because look, there's always like the greats, right? The big names. And they might have bad season, good seasons. But you always talk about the top players. And then there's the rest, And Raphinha, for his entire career until last season, he was just an average player. He was never one of the big names. It was never like, oh, it's Messi, Ronaldo, Mo Salah, Haaland, Mbappe, Dembele. Well, maybe not Dembele before, maybe not now. Vinicius, Raphinha. It's like never, right? He was never in the conversation. And all of a sudden, in one season, he just goes, bam. Which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Amazing. But it's crazy to think about the transformation that he had. So, yes, I agree, my friend. Siri Oga, thank you so much, my friend, for your donation. But says fan character laughing out loud with, oh, that's not what he said. That's probably an emoji. Let me do what I always do. And I don't know why the software doesn't pick up on these emojis. It just writes a description. But I'm going to go to the actual channel. And Okay, there we go. Now I see it. It looks really cool. It's like a mouth, and it's covering the mouth of the hand, and it's just saying ha 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 ha. Ha." But thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for your donation. Very generous of you. I'm sorry the software cannot show it, but I saw it. I promise. Thank you again. And let's see. Let's do a few more comments, and then we'll end this. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Where do we live off? Sayoga says, Mo, you're amazing, informative, on point, and I appreciate your work. A true adequate Barca fan. Keep up the good work. Now tell Deco he's an idiot when he signs in the winter, even on loan. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for your kind words. I do think Deco is not the brightest, but I don't blame him on this one. Unfortunately, the decision not to sign anyone is not because Deco doesn't feel like it. It's unfortunately because we're just simply not in a position to do it, right? We don't have financial fair play. So, unfortunately, that's the case. Pizca Michael says, hey, Mo, check out La Masia defender that's had been training in the first team. I'm sure Flick is trying to implement him into the squad. Alvaro Cortés. Yeah, I saw that. So, I'm sure now that Christensen is injured and Araujo still figuring things out, that Flick is going to be calling up more academy players to see who is ready, But the word is, at least the reports I've seen, is that even though there's a lot of promising center backs in La Masia, right now, Flick and his staff think that none of them are actually ready yet. Doesn't mean that they won't be. Doesn't mean that they're not good enough. They're just not ready yet. It's kind of like they're a little too green. But hopefully that changes because we're going to need something, man. Christensen's injured. Araujo, we don't know when he's going to come back. And when he does, we don't know how is he going to be. At this point, we only have Cobarcia and Maldini. King N says, Mo, any news update about Grada de Animación? I signed the petition in support of their return. We need the atmosphere at home. Camp Nou is kind of dead compared to the past, even with 45K. Unfortunately, there's no news. Laporta said that they were going to meet in June, that they were going to create a special committee and meet in June and come up with a new supporter section. That never happened, or maybe it did happen, but it hasn't come to fruition. They told us at the beginning of the season that we were going to have it. That didn't come to fruition. They told us then when the Camp Nou reopens, we're going to have it. That hasn't come to fruition. So honestly, I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I don't know. And Noor, my friend, I love you, brother. But please, no spamming. No spamming. Says, hey, Mo, I love your news. Oh, wait, I had already... Oh, okay. I love your news and your passion for Barca, but I don't like the way you talk about Xavi. It's disrespectful. He came in. Okay. Let's break this down real quick. I'll try to do it quickly because I've touched on this topic a lot of times. First of all, saying someone sucks is not disrespectful, okay? It's just not being hypocritical. It's having the balls to say what you actually see, okay? All right? I think we can agree to that, right? Just because... if that's the case, then fuck. We can never judge anyone, right? It's like if someone does horribly. Oh, Araujo got a red card in Chelsea. Shh. He did amazing. Bravo, Araujo. Oh, I can't say anything because it's disrespectful. No. Okay, being able to say someone sucks or someone's not is part of the sport. I mean, that's literally what you're judged on, right? As an athlete, right? That's what makes a difference between you starting or you being on a bench. You being kept on the team or you being sold. You being renewed or you letting your contract expire is whether you suck or you don't. You think coaches are sitting there like, oh, bro, that guy had a horrible match, but shh, don't say anything. It's disrespectful. No. They're calling the players in and saying, hey, bro, you suck. We're going to sell you if you don't improve, right? So this whole like immaturity of saying, oh, if you criticize someone, it's being disrespectful. It's some 5-year-old thinking, okay? Let's grow the fuck up. This is football. These are athletes who make millions of euros. Same goes for coaches. And we can say whether someone's doing well or they're not. You're supposed to, okay? Second of all, I don't give a shit if he came during the worst time or the best time, okay? That doesn't excuse his poor performance, period. What, now because he came during the worst time, we got to be like, oh, no, like, oh, shit, it's okay. You can go and lose. You go a whole season without any trophies. And no, that's not a fucking excuse. This is FC Barcelona, okay? This is one of the greatest clubs in the world. And Barcelona became one of the greatest clubs in the world because great people came and did great things. And the only way to stay great is for more people, more great people to come and continue to do great things. Not to come up with fucking excuses and say, oh, it's disrespectful. Oh, he came during a bad time. I don't give a fuck. This is FC Barcelona. You come here, you better be ready to put in the work and to keep this club great. You can't, get the fuck out. Someone else will come. Xavi did that as a player. Xavi was one of the greatest midfielders in the history of the sport. He came to Barca, and with his greatness, he made sure that Barcelona remained great. As a coach, he was mediocre. And just because he was a great player doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm going to make up excuses for him. This is FC Barcelona. You come here, you better be ready to make this club great. You can't, get the fuck out. Plain and simple. I don't want to hear the fucking excuses. Plain and simple. If you can't handle that, don't come here. There's mid-table teams. There's bottom-table teams. There's second division teams. There's third division teams. Here, we want the best. Period. No fucking excuses. I don't care when you came to the club. I don't care if you were a club legend as a player. Koeman was a club legend as a player. Guess what? Shitty fucking coach. I'm glad he's gone too. That's it. I'm not going to change my mind on that. And that's all I got to say. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your generous donations. I will be posting another video in like an hour. I'm going to go have dinner, chill, relax. So stay tuned to the channel. I will see you guys in that video. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment. And as always, peace, guys.